Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I thought I'd just invite you to a conference called the Manhood Conference that's taking place this Saturday, inshallah. I'll provide a link in the post. I want to share a little something from my childhood, if that's all right with you. And I don't know why it came to my mind today, but I think it's worthwhile sharing. My dad, my father is 91 years old, and he had a massive role to play in my life in terms of me understanding my responsibilities. And one of the things my father used to do is take up what would be seemingly futile tasks that seemed to never end or go nowhere, but he would still do them, right? Now, what's the benefit you could get from that? Well, I find it hard talking about it, but like, for example, we wanted to wash all the carpets in the house, and when we wanted to wash all the carpets in the house, a lot of people just hire a carpet cleaning device, or some people hire someone to come and do it for them, or they'd buy a machine, a carpet washer. Yeah, not my dad. Not my dad. My father, he decides to get a scrubber that's just about the size of this fist, and he would literally get me and him with these scrubbers on our hands, and with a bucket of suds, soap or whatever, and we would literally scrub the carpet of the entire house, and then lay towels and stuff like that. And I remember looking at my father, and I'm just thinking, this is going to take forever. This is like, it just feels futile. Can you imagine an entire 4-bedroom house? You're on your hands and knees until you get sort of blisters on your fingers. And my father is one of those people, although he can read English and he can speak English, he doesn't like to, I'm not going to say dirty his tongue, but he doesn't really like to speak English with us at all. And I remember I was on my hands and knees, and I was probably something like 14 years old or something, and I was, what 14-year-old does, isn't it? Oh, come on, why? There must be a better strategy, must be a better way. Must be an optimal methodology, must be a smart way to do this or whatever. Ultimately, there was no other way, okay, because we can't afford another way. But my dad turned around to me, and he was in his late 70s even then, and he turned around to me and he said, something is better than nothing. And the scholars say, ma la yudrakul kul la yutrakul jul. I learned that 18 years later, right? I learned that 18 years later studying, and it came up in a book somewhere. And I thought of my father. And one of the things that fathers often have to do is, when there is absolutely no hope in sight, they still know it's their responsibility to provide. They still know that they have to get up and try no matter what. They still know that when all their family members give up hope, or they have no other means, that you will go out in the cold and you will find a way. You will find a job. You will find an income. I've been, of very modest means in my life, where I had no house, and I had like a backpack on, and I was literally looking for properties that are a quarter of what people normally pay. And I slept in friends' houses, and we've all gone through difficult times moving house or not having a home. And I just wanted to share the fact that this idea that, I raise my own boys with this mentality as well. That sometimes, just when if you don't have the most articulate, the most detailed plan ahead, that sometimes you just have to try, and you just have to grind, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you a result. And it reminds me of the story of Musa alayhi salam, with no means, no proper clothes, food, shelter, no job, no family, no wife, no nothing. And he saw the 2 daughters of what is reported to be the descendants of Shu'aib alayhi salam, from the place of Madian. And he saw that they couldn't lift stones. They weren't able to lift stones from this well where all these other men folk were able to remove it and feed their flock. What did he do? He went over there and he removed the stones. What an act of chivalry and an act of believer. And yet, did he hang around for praise? Did he hang around to chat and have a discussion? Or, hey, what did you think? He didn't do any one of those things. In the Quran it says, ثُمَّ تَوَلَّى. He turned away, and then he prayed He found a shade and he prayed to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And by that prayer, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave him a 10-year tenure, gave him a job, wife, family, means of living and sustenance and safety, and roof over his head, subhanallah. And this is the mentality that more and more our boys, when we look at the ayah of the Quran, الرجال قوامون على النساء, that our boys are going to need to have this mentality, that even when there's no hope in sight, you have to have tawakkul in Allah in a way that the women folk will have to have in this situation, generally speaking, because that everybody turns to one another, but the husband, he has to turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he has to make a means for his family. So have a think of that. Come to the conference inshallah, and I'll see you there. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.